Hey everyone, welcome to Reflections, the podcast where guitarist Chris Jurgensen, Alberto Garcia, and myself riff about music, the guitar, and life, and pretty much all that's in between. I'm your host, Sho, and we appreciate you tuning in and would love it if you could click the like and or subscribe button to get this awesome content out there. And since it's not all the time that we can get such talent together in the same room, if you are so brave, drop us a question in the comment section and we'll do our best to address them in the next podcast. Today we talk about jam sessions. Are they a social networking opportunity to play with great players, or a musician's worst nightmare? Stick around to find out. This is our second episode and hope you enjoy it. We'll talk about jam sessions today, and both of you host one. Alberto and Chris, you host jam sessions. You know so much about it. I go to jam sessions, and people love them. Maybe people have a hard time with playing there, being confident about playing there, going. Let's talk about it. So, yeah, what is a jam session? How about we start there? Chris, why don't you take it off?
Well, it's a place where musicians go to get experience or maybe to meet other musicians. But, you know, there's different kinds. And so generally speaking, people go and it costs money to get in, and there's a host band. So if I was the host band, for example, you would come and you would pick a song to play, and you would come up on stage and play it. But there's different kinds, you know. So like my jam session is like a blues jam session, and the blues is just easy because the blues is kind of a simple music. So if you know how to play the blues, you don't have to really know songs, so to speak. You just kind of go up and you play them. Unless you're singing, then you got to know the lyrics for the song, and then you have to know, for instance, the key and the tempo, and if it has like a quick change or not. And that's the only thing you really need to know for blues. Some people go and they want to play very specific songs, and that turns into like a problem because like even blues songs, sometimes they have like intros that you have to know to be able to play that song in particular. So you don't know if everybody's going to know it. So it's just better to come up and let the singer say, we're playing a blues in G, medium tempo with a quick change. So if you're going to come to like my jam session, you want to prepare yourself just to be able to play different keys and different tempos, basically. But there's different kinds, you know. Like if you're going to a jazz jam session, they're going to call the tunes.
Yeah.
And you got to know the tunes.
Right.
And that could be a problem. So I mean, everybody's got to be able to play a bunch of songs for the jazz jam sessions, right? And then the other kind you get is really where people bring charts. But for those songs, you should pick songs that, for instance, people have generally heard enough that they can look at the chart to play it. Like if you haven't heard it and you got a chart, you might really not know what it's going to sound like. So that's the way that jam sessions generally work.
Well, it depends. I host a jam session as well, and it's mainly a blues jam session, and sometimes people bring charts. And of course, if you bring something really complicated, it could be an issue because we cannot guarantee that everyone on the stage is going to know how to read that. But sometimes the chart is easy enough. What I would recommend people that go to jam sessions is never to bring a chart, one of those charts that are the lyrics with the chords on top. Like, for example, that one is almost impossible. The person needs to know the song. And it becomes really complicated, you know, when you're just looking at lyrics and chords on top of it, and you know exactly where to change.
Yeah, there's no designated bar lines or anything.
Exactly right.
Yeah,
But if it's a chart, like for example, a good example will be if somebody brings an easy jazz standard, or you know, something like Georgia on My Mind or something like that. If you bring the lead sheet from any of the fake books, I think anyone can, you know, any competent musician can read that, and it won't be the best performance ever because they will be reading. But if they can read chords and understand the structure of the song, is enough, right?
It sounds like knowing the song first, then being able to get up there on stage, because you're not playing with your regular band members, right?
No, but some people do want to do that, and that makes me kind of crazy. Like they bring their whole band and they just want to go up and jam. They should just like get their own club to play.
That's kind of like a free promotion. That's kind of not the way.
I have had so many problems with that
Yeah.
particular issue. I remember I've been running this jam session for almost 10 years now. And I know, without saying names, some band came from all the way from Chiba, and they basically wanted to play for like a 45-minute set or something. And a jam session, if you go to jam session, what you want to do is to blend in with the people that is there, play with everyone. Don't care too much about being perfect. Just go on a stage and play, which is what these things are for. They basically is like another stripe on the tiger, right? You go there, play, and sometimes it will go great, sometimes it won't. Sometimes it will be your fault, sometimes it will be other people that is not that great, but he's trying his best. So be open-minded and enjoy it. But I remember this band came over, and when I told them that they couldn't play together, it was a huge issue with basically finally I invited the guy to leave. I had to invite him to leave because he was just complaining and not being very receptive.
I think it's good, to check it out. I mean, if you're not really that confident, then I think there's no shame in just checking it out first and seeing what people are playing, And there's nothing wrong with that, but you sort of get an inclination for like the songs that people tend to play at jam sessions. Because there's definitely like a bunch of ones that get played all the time.
True.
And so it's good to know those. And, and then you just kind of can practice and, work yourself up to doing it. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, my jam session, it's like nobody really teases or makes fun of anybody. It's all cool, You can come up and play and we'll try to find a song that everybody can do, But at first it might make you kind of nervous, but it's good to sort of know like the standard tunes that are going to get called. Like Mercy, 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 or
right,
whatever, the Chameleon,
Chicken,
songs like that.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely kind of, you get nervous going. It's especially if it's your first time, and I'm speaking from personal experience, but once you get there and you have a few under your belt and you learn the songs, it actually becomes more fun. But yeah, every time is very different, and you enjoy it.
Well, I think I might go a little bit off topic with this one, but I think there are two types of jam sessions mainly, right? And the ones are the ones that happen at places that carry alcohol, and the ones that happen at places that they don't have alcohol available, right? And people get nervous, man, and people get all like, I often see really good players that come and they are really nervous when they go on a stage. And I understand, sometimes, I get nervous too,
Yeah.
But especially when I go to a new jam session, right? But after a while, you go to a few of them. It's just all the same. Keep your mind open. Don't drink too much.
Don't drink too much. Yeah. You don't have that in daily life where you show up and you don't, some people, but you don't know who's going to come at least. And you play music. That's not a kind of a normal thing. So you have to want to make that situation happen. And I think that takes a lot of effort.
And I think a lot of guitar players also struggle with the gear thing, right? Like, I remember when I was in LA, and I went to the Baked Potato, and I think his name was Jamie Kim. Yeah, and the other guitar player, I forgot his name. He will come back. And I used to go to the jam session every month, and he had the most amazing gear ever, like a plexi I think he was playing like Wet Dry. I don't remember exactly, but he had a really nice. But he was playing with a Les Paul, and I went there with a Strat.
Yeah.
So it didn't just sound, the same,
Yeah, yeah.
because it's total different kind of guitar. And when people go to jam sessions, some of them bring pedals and pedal boards and
Some like most. do,
yeah, a lot
yeah.
of people. I stopped doing that. I just
too.
normally go with the guitar, and if they have something that I can use, I ask if I can
Yeah.
touch it.
Yeah, I usually just bring like a battery powered with a boost with a battery power, so I don't need to plug anything in everywhere, because you don't know what you're gonna get. And number two, you don't know what the state of the amp's gonna be like. So
Yeah.
that's the scariest one. You go in there and it's like you don't know what you.
After you plug your pedal board, it took you like 15 minutes, and they have been waiting for you, and then you
Yeah.
start playing it. There's no sound coming out.
Yeah,
because
there's
the
no
amp isn't
sound, and
working.
then like your setting is like based on your living room setting, so you're playing in a big kind of bar, and suddenly you're.
But it depends on the amp. If they have
Yeah.
an amp I know, I can make it work.
Yeah, yeah.
No problem.
The trick is just to turn it up real loud, whatever you get. That's
Whatever.
all.
Yeah, exactly.
Me, anyways. But I was my friend Daniel Glass is a drummer in New York, and he invited me to Birdland. They do they don't call it a jam session; they call it an open mic, which tends to imply that it's more for singers, right? So he invited me to show up there. It's called Jim Caruso's Cast Party. It's at Birdland, and it's crazy. Like the talent that goes there, because it's New York, it's Manhattan. It's a little bit scary. And he asked me to always come up, and I'm like, oh, really? I don't know that I want to do that. Because you have to understand, Birdland is on, I don't know, somebody from New York will correct me on this, but it's in Hell's Kitchen. It's like, I don't know, between 9th and 8th Avenue, I guess, like on the, I don't know, 54th Street, I don't know, 48th Street, I don't remember, but people show up, and it's a big, beautiful club, Birdland, a beautiful, big club, like the Blue Note or something like that, right? But not like the New York Blue Note, which isn't that gorgeous. It's like the Tokyo Blue Note or something.
Right.
And people just come up and they pick songs. But what impresses me about that is that you have to remember that area is very close to Broadway, right? So like these people get off their musical, and they come and they sing, and they just bring charts.
Yeah.
They just bring charts, and they hand them out. And these guys are so talented that the piano player looks at the chart and he kind of plays it a little bit, and he's going, "Oh yeah." And then they all know it,
Yeah.
It's like sort of like these random songs that not even I
Right.
know. And the people come up and they sing it and they knock it out. It's like really, it's really pretty amazing. But I mean, that's the kind of thing that everybody, all musicians should sort of aspire to do,
Right.
because it's
Yeah.
really, really top notch. I mean that's why. But to even watch the jam session, it's like $40.
I see. Yeah. So top-notch guys go there.
And they're sort of particular about who they even let up. So it's like somebody's got to know you, or they're not really like into it.
Yeah, can you imagine if anybody could go up?
Yeah, but and then Daniel tries to make me go up, and it's like they don't have a guitar amp, so it's like that's when the second they don't have a guitar amp means they're going to try to plug me into the PA or something.
Ooh, yeah.
And I'm like, oh no, I don't know that.
So you ask them if they have a jazz chorus?
We'll get in trouble.
The PA will be fine.
So that's something to check out. That's like an open mic. That's generally for singers, and they, so I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never heard them call it an open mic in Tokyo. It's usually a jam
No,
session.
they do. They do open mics here and there, but it's more like what you just said is for singers or bands or acts. Like sometimes it's like two singers, they go up and play with guitars or whatever. But they do open mics. Yeah.
Sessions, open mics, whatever you want to call it, it's really a place to hang out and meet new people and have a good time. But you go there and kind of feel a little bit on edge. It's almost like I gotta show these people off, what I can do. And there's a little bit of a toxic jam etiquette, maybe.
Well, it
sometimes.
can be, but it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be. I mean, it just kind of depends on who's
Well,
doing the hosting. You know?
as long as you are doing, if you're doing it for the network, there might be a little bit of a competition side to it, where you want to show everyone that you are the best guitar player there because you're out of work and you need to get some gigs.
Yeah.
And I understand that, but to me, I'm always impressed about the guys that don't get into that and they just play the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Have some fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, have fun. I understand that you can play amazing solos and everything, but if you are supporting, what I'm trying to say, like for example, I have been in jam sessions where I be playing with another guitar player who, while I was playing my solo, didn't play a single note, so didn't comp anything. I'm like, basically he's waiting around until his solo comes, right? And then I'm basically trying to comp him to make it make him sound better.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm feeling like, well, he didn't do it for me, but it's the right thing to do, right?
Yeah,
Because in the end, it's not about me or him; it's about the music that we're producing. Right?
Yeah. You ask too much from guitar players, man. We're just so selfish. That's what most. No, I'm just kidding. But
Well, I know you well, and I know you are not, and I know I'm not, and neither Chris. We basically want when we are playing to sound good, right?
Yeah.
Everybody to sound good, and we work towards that.
Yeah. Yeah. You step out of the got to make my solo sound awesome phase to let's make who's here sound awesome as a group. We've just met, so we're not gonna hit the spots, and we're not gonna do everything the way the song was as if we rehearsed, but
it's all good, man. If you want to play an amazing solo and you can do it. But what I often see is people trying to go out of their way to play something amazing and losing the tempo, and the timing is not that great. And it will be more impressive if you play a solo that makes a lot of sense.
And it's not 10 minutes long.
Yes.
that's hard. That's like the knowing where you are in the song is that's a tough skill to.
But it's like you got songs like, I don't know, like Chicken or whatever, something like that people just kind of loop it for 90 minutes and it gets crazy.
That is one of my unpopular opinions on the internet is that you should never practice with backing tracks. And,
I've actually heard that one before because you'll just go on forever.
Yeah, because where is the structure? If you play with a backing track that is 90 minutes long, you don't have the need. You don't feel the need to develop ideas. So basically, your solo is endless. And I see that all the time in jam sessions. So my students, for example, I tell them, record yourself. If you want to do play with a metronome.
Yeah.
Play with the metronome. If you want, record a little bit of and put a time limit. This is not like endless looping, because if you do that, your solos are gonna be they're not gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
You're just gonna keep going and going and going.
No, that's right. I mean, personally, I think practicing with the backtrack is okay, but you have to like turn it off and then say you're just going to play two choruses and you got to develop a solo, right? So.
Yeah. So let me rephrase that. It's not that I don't like backing tracks. I have used them as well. It is that the way you practice when you're a beginner is you just turn on the backing track and you try everything that you know on top of it.
A minor pentatonic.
Exactly. And that is a great way to learn the sound of the scale, but it's not giving you skills to improvise. On the contrary, it's taking from you one of the most important things about improvisation, which is actually development.
Being someone that's probably done it the wrong way with backing tracks, I would think if someone's listening to this and just picking it up, starting, I think learning and internalizing structure would be, even if your fingers don't move, if you just understand where you are, you're in bar 4 going into the 5th, you're in bar 7, you're going to go to the turnaround, something like that. If you can internalize that before your fingers can move, I think you'll play more interesting solos, even with just a major scale or very basic.
Well, but you see, you have to be thinking like a realistic terms, because I mean, if you get called up to record a guitar solo, you're only going to get like 16 bars or something. You know what I mean? So I mean, you have to know how to develop it and bring it from a low point to a high point and then finish it off, like make a little story. So in that sense, like practicing to like a loop for a half hour, it doesn't teach you how to develop any kind of guitar solo. It's there's a lot of truth to that. So like, you know, on my YouTube channel, you can download my songs that just have 2 choruses for the guitar solo, you know, and that sort of means that even two choruses for
but that is totally fine. That is totally fine.
Yeah.
That doesn't come into to me. I actually have downloaded them.
Oh, yeah.
You have sent them to me, and I have actually played with them. And to be honest, I play solo through the whole thing. No, actually, I tried to play the melody because I don't remember what song was it, but I think it was the one before the last one. I really liked the melody, so I actually learned it. And yeah, I think that is totally fine. You're playing a backing track that has an end, a beginning and an end, and a place for the solo. That's fine. I just want to warn everyone that is out there, like if you are young and you want to develop good solos, and a very important part of it is to be able to say something with it. And if you are just talking and talking and talking and you know these backing tracks are endless, are really detrimental to the playing.
Yeah, because you're not going to get in any kind of real situation, that kind of thing. Even 2 choruses for a blues, like kind of long.
Yeah, if it's a slow.
Well, we're talking about jam sessions. I don't know if you know this, Chris, but some jam sessions in Tokyo, especially the old school ones, when you go up on a stage, you only are allowed to play 2 songs, and you only can play 2 choruses of solo in each song the first time that you go. So if you are new to the place, you only are allowed to go up 2 songs, play 2 choruses, and after the 2 choruses, they will stop you. And somebody else will start improvising.
Yeah, I probably at Alberto's jam session, he just, instead of like making a rule like that, he just goes, "Shut the fuck up!"
It wouldn't be the first time.
Shut the fuck up! All right.
No. But sometimes I just raise my hand because it's sometimes people.
No, he doesn't say. He throws the music stand.
No, I haven't done that yet. But no, the truth is, sometimes they don't do it in purpose. They are not trying to be mean or anything.
Well, I think they just don't know where they are.
No, they're just excited to be playing.
Yeah, it's like when you take a leash off a 50-kilo dog, you know. And they go there and they want to play, and they have been waiting to play, and they want to play everything they know. And it's all good, man. It's all good. But after they are trading solos and they are playing like 4 solos each guitar player, it's just, I normally what I do, I just raise my hand, like this is the last chorus.
Well, I see you doing that as a player, but also as like when you're outside as well, and people. A lot of the times they're not looking at each other. So
but I just need the drummer to look at me, and then they're done. But the thing is, I don't do it because I want. I have heard everything, people complaining about this kind of thing, right? But honestly, they go to jam sessions. Sometimes jam sessions are really, really crowded.
Yeah,
everybody wants to play for
sure. Yeah,
but everybody wants everyone to play as well. But when they go on a stage, they forget about everything and they play for half an hour and they don't care about anyone.
Yeah.
And I know they're not doing it on purpose. They are not controlling time. I am the one who is supposed to control the time because I'm the host. So I am the one who has to, at some point, say, okay, I think this is enough. Let's finish it so other people can enjoy the jam session as well. I'm not doing it for myself. Yeah. And but when the jam sessions are crowded, I always get people coming over and saying, "I haven't played yet," and I'm like, "I'm so my friend hasn't played yet," and I'm like, "Yeah, but when you played, you took forever to finish, right? Yeah, and now your friend doesn't have too much time to play. So if we all go to a jam session and keep it short, keep it nice, should be enough time for everyone to play.
Yeah. I guess that's why you kind of want to know, going back to Chris's original point, a few songs in your toolkit that you know at least the chords and the melody, so you have something to go back to.
The other thing that makes me, I don't know if this is maybe just a personal thing. Sometimes people just come up and they go, okay, like let's just jam on E7 or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like that, and that sort of like just drags on and it brings the whole thing down.
If you're like really like those guys at Birdland did that, they would probably kill it. Like,
But they wouldn't do it. Those people are bringing like these sort of charts that are like 4 pages long, and they're playing like Broadway tunes. And
I
stuff,
see.
you know?
Okay, well that's a whole different thing.
It's not like a open like jam with like Jocko and Mike Stern or anything like that. It's like these Broadway guys like
Right.
bringing these really like interesting kind of Broadway musical songs.
Yeah, you don't really get that, but the E7 drone on E7 crowd would knowing
I don't mind it.
Yeah.
I mean, if they come over and what I normally do these days is I keep one or two of the host band members.
yeah, right.
Because I know, if Mike or Marilyn or both are there and the two guitar players are playing in E7, I know they can keep it interesting. I know they can make it happen. So when those things happen, I normally, or sometimes it happens as well that I have a really good pool of players in there that I know, because the thing is not that they are good or bad, it's if I know they can play or not. So some players, I know them very well. If Chris comes to my jam session and somebody asks me to play a blues, I know Chris is going to go up and play really well, and he's going to make everything sound better just because he's on the stage, right? Sometimes I know I have a lot of people that they are great, but I don't know them.
Yeah.
So I don't know who to call. And sometimes what happens is you call the good player, and he has to play with the bad player or the less experienced player, because this is not about good or bad.
Yeah.
And they get pissed off, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, well, I came here to play. Sorry, man, I didn't know you. I didn't know you can play that well. You know?
Yeah. Who are you gonna call?
One kind of weird thing that happens a lot at my jam session is that for some strange reason, a lot of guitar players come down, and then I end up singing the whole night. You know what I mean? Because everybody's playing guitar, and it's like I end up having to sing these songs. So I have to come up with like different blues numbers that everybody can play on. So I learned how to sing a lot better from these jam sessions.
Yeah. Well, that's the benefit of doing both.
Yeah. So that's like one thing that's been happening a lot. So I wish people would come down and sing more rather than just playing guitar. But the thing that happens a lot at these jam sessions, which I think people should learn a little bit more about, is about like terminologies. So in other words, blues is like generally speaking, if you say I'm going to play a blues, people will always just assume it's 12 bars, right? Even though there's different kinds of blues, but unless you say that, people just assume the blues is 12 bars, right? And then they don't really know how to describe it. They'll say it sometimes in Japanese and sometimes in English, and they'll go like the one that goes to the D7 quick or something, or fast, and it's like they're talking about the quick change. So everybody gets confused. Or they don't really know how to describe it. So I mean, if it's a blues thing, it helps if you know, like a quick change, turnaround, and you sort of know what tempo you're talking about. But because the thing about the person who calls the tune, if they're singing it especially, they're gonna probably count it. But see, the thing about it is that even though a slow blues is going to be slow, right? But it doesn't really have to. But it's a different way of playing a slow blues, right? It's then like a medium tempo blues. So by saying I want to play a slow blues in G, you sort of change the way that the players are supposed to play it. So it's kind of good to know the terminology and be able to describe what you're going to play, or even better to understand it. Because if you come to like my jam session, you come up, probably I'm going to be singing, and so I'm thinking in my head, okay, I'm going to sing this song in A or something, and then I'm going to have to go medium blues in A with the quick change, and if that confuses them, then there's a lot of explaining that I have to really do. And that's the blues for you. That's only a few different elements that you sort of have to understand.
It kind of comes back to knowing where you are and what you like. For those who don't know what a bar is, for example, it's 4 beats. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a bar, and blues is 12 bars. That's just kind of like
Generally speaking,
that's what we got. And you have the key, 12 keys. Usually it's about 3 or 4 kind of common keys, and then a quick change is whether you go to a 4 chord
in the second bar.
quickly. And
Well,
if you could just say those 3 terms, as you said, you got the whole song. And
definitely.
then you break it down: melody, which is gonna be 1, and then you solo however many times each person, melody, and you take it out. You kind of get the general road sign of the song. And so knowing that, even if you only can play 5 or 3 chords, just knowing that basic rule function. Like I was venturing to a jazz session, and I only knew a handful of standards, and you have to go to kind of overcome that fear of playing, because jazz is really scary for me, at least. And I didn't know that you trade, for example. I didn't know that you go after you solo, everyone solos. It's usually 2 choruses, and then you go through everyone, and you trade with the drummer for 4 bars or however long, and then
trading fours,
right, with the drummer, because he doesn't really get the solo. And then you play the melody and you go out. I didn't know that. So, and that just really makes everything awkward. People will look at you, and you're supposed to have a good time, but it's kind of like, I don't know, going into a social setting and just, I don't know, making a whole bunch of noise when you're not supposed to. It feels like that when you don't know. So I mean, just knowing that.
And the trading is very specific of jazz, right?
Yeah.
And you definitely should know that will happen.
Yeah.
However, if you don't, I have been in situations where I've been in the host band, and we are trading, and one of the players doesn't know that he has to trade. Nothing happened. We just look at him, try to explain in a quiet way that he has to play a solo in those times, and normally they get it. Some of them they get completely lost, right? But it's okay. It depends on the tune too, right?
Right. Yeah. Generally pretty mid to up tempo swing.
Yeah, if you're playing something quick, it's really hard to recover.
Yeah, but it's knowing where you are in the song is super duper important.
But some people just say, "Hey, where am I?" And that's okay too.
Yeah,
Where is it?
yeah,
I say it all the time.
yeah.
Where am I?
Yeah,
Where am I?
But yeah,
always kind of
so
feeling your way through.
But the bottom line here is that people should. I think going to the jam session is a good experience for everybody, especially aspiring musicians. So I mean, I would really suggest that people go out and they find these jam sessions, and they.
Yeah, man, you're not gonna get better playing at home, waiting for people to come over to knock on your door to play with you, or playing always with the same people. I had comments. I remember people used to complain, or actually, it is a really valid opinion as well, right? They say, I don't want to go to the jam session, because for me a jam session is to go there and jam with people, and when I get there I have a host band that is going to play 2 or 3 songs, and I don't want to listen to that, right? Normally what I try to explain to people when they have this way of thinking is, the jam session is not, some jam sessions are not only for players. There are customers in the bar. There are people there that they go to listen to music, and certainly there are people there that go to listen to the host band. So I can understand you want to listen to the host band, which is kind of weird because it's only 2 or 3 songs, right? I don't know how many you play. How many did you play at the beginning, Chris?
I play 2 songs for each set.
Okay, so I play 2 songs, then I do a break, and then I play 1 more song sometimes. And if the jam session goes well, at the end I play another one. So 2, 1, 1. And I get complaints sometimes, like, I don't want to go to a jam session to listen to you guys, And I'm like, it's all good, but the people that is there, they need everything. They need something that is well put together. They need something that is obviously a jam, and they need a break. They need, some kind of a structure inside the
Right,
session.
yeah.
Otherwise, people is just not gonna go there. to
Right.
listen to music.
That's a really crucial point for those who've never gone or thinking of going. It's for the bars. We're only talking about the musician's perspective, but it's from the perspective of the bar, of the cafe, the venue. They're open on a night when they need to be bringing in drinks and money for that, and we pay to play, but they also got to serve drinks. And if the music's awkward, if it's just it becomes a vibe thing. If you're not putting on a good performance, then the people there aren't gonna,
Yeah, I mean, what you have to think about it from the perspective of the people that is there having a drink as well. You cannot just think it's not a jam session where we are all players. If that was the case, trust me, man, I'm the first one that doesn't want to play.
Just
That
have a
I will
good
just
time.
sit there and drink with my buddies.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. There are people that come over to see us play, and people that come over to listen to music in general without knowing us. And if you just give them act after act of improvisation or jams, it's kind of sometimes it's a hit and miss. Sometimes they're great, sometimes not that great. Sometimes, but I don't think it's bad to play a couple of songs to open up the jam and.
Yeah, totally, because it's a vibe thing, and sometimes you have it's chemistry. If you have bad chemistry, sometimes it just doesn't happen sometimes in those moments.
But I think it's fair also to say, like, when I started doing the jam session, I did it. It was all about I wanted people to play, and also at that time I was really into finding my sound, so I will carry all my gear there. Everything, amplifiers, pedal board, everything.
Yeah.
And I remember I would kind of test with a couple of songs that I had the sound I was looking for. That was like 9 years ago now. Now I just carry a guitar.
Yeah. Simple is best.
Yes.
Another kind of weird thing that's happened sometimes that makes me crazy is that, so my jam session is a blues jam session, but sometimes people like have these really specific songs that they want to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like these blues that goes from like 14 bars to like 16 bars for the solos and things. And I don't really think that's like a smart idea to like call out these very specific songs with weird changes, because I mean, unless they're going to bring a chart or something, I guess. But I mean, blues is just sort of like, it shouldn't be that complicated.
What about when they call Spain?
Okay, so yeah, I've had to do that on occasion, obviously.
Yeah.
I have done it too.
Spain is one of those that I've never played overseas, but it's like oddly popular. Not oddly, it's a great tune, but in Japan it's
Very popular.
super popular,
Very,
right?
very popular.
Yeah, and it's not an easy tune.
No, it's not really easy.
Well, it's not that bad.
It's not that bad, but I mean it's pretty technical.
Well,
If
Well, the melody is
melody.
kind of challenging. The guitar solo, I mean, the solo section, the chords
solo
are
section,
okay.
yeah, I mean it's
No,
like
but even the melody. I mean, of course, if you haven't played it in a while, it can catch you off guard. I
Yeah.
remember one time I was with Simon McDowell, I think it was, in his jam session, and somebody called a tune, and this drummer went on a stage, man, and he played it like so fast. Nobody could play the melody, man.
yeah,
It was like,
yeah.
Spain on steroids.
Yeah, no.
Especially like, right, especially the unison part, right? It's
Yeah, no,
But that, I mean, yeah. Actually, Spain is. I always practice Spain before I go to any jam session, just to make sure.
Just to make sure you
Just
got it.
to make sure.
I played it so many times that I already memorized it. But
Yeah.
but if you play it super fast,
Yeah.
it would be like, come on.
You know, another song that everyone can't get the unison part for is Red Baron.
Oh yeah.
That part, for some reason, it's always like typewriter
Bill-
falling downstairs. It's,
Billy Cobham. Right?
Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah. So another thing that happens in the jam sessions, like, I don't know how you do it, Chris. Do you have a list of people, or you just call them randomly, or how do you do it?
I just call them randomly because the club that I do it at is much smaller, so I can see everybody, and I can see that they're carrying a bass or something. You know what I mean? So or a guitar. So I just
But do you remember the order, how they came in? Or?
no. Well, yeah, I sort of remember the order when they came in, but it's not like a list that I'm looking at. It's just more or less. I bring people up like 2 songs at a time.
Yeah. I do the same thing, but I do have a list. And I have this list. Actually, Steve Ulickney was kind enough to bring me Steve Ulickney works for Diodario, right? And he came over to the jam session, and he came with this Excel sheet that I actually using now. And I use the list because the place where I do it is not that big, but I want to kind of respect the order of people coming in, because sometimes people come in and they come to you and say, I have to leave in 30 minutes. Can I play now? I'm like, well, you just arrived. Sorry, right?
yeah, yeah.
And they don't write the name on the list, and then they are surprised if you don't call them, right?
Yeah.
I come here all the time. Why didn't you call me? Because I'm looking at the list and you are not there, And so I always recommend, if you go to jam session, check if there is a list. Normally there is. There is.
That's true.
Yeah.
But it's all good fun. Everybody should come out and get a little experience doing that. But
Jam sessions are fun.
yeah, they are fun. But even I sort of have to rethink things myself sometimes. People call tunes that I'm not really that good at, and I think to myself, all right, well, I totally screwed this up, so I'm gonna have to maybe think about learning this song one of these days, So
Yeah, you leave a jam session with something to work on. That's my experience. The other day, someone, I think it was at yours, Alberto's, but someone wanted to sing a jazz standard, and your session is kind of more funk blues vibe, and she wanted to sing a jazz standard.
What jazz standard was it? I wasn't that. What was it?
She sang At Last and
I remember
the
now.
other one.
I remember now. Yeah.
But it's a ballad. It's a jazz ballad, and I thought back, and I was like, I should have just rearranged that to a funk. Why didn't I rearrange that to the funk? Because when we were trying to go over the tunes, no one knew the song, and they couldn't swing. The drummer couldn't swing. I don't know how to swing. So it was kind of freaking out everybody. I should have just been like, no, let's just play funk for, and can you do that? And it's that kind of stuff that, I would, in my room, there's no pressure, there's no tension, kind of just get more freedom. When you're on the stage, you're like,
yeah, but that is those kind of situations we should avoid them as much as possible, because the singer wanted to sing that song, but we don't know what version she's talking about. We just have a standard chart that I have, because I have a lot of charts in my iPad, and we have that thing. We don't know if she's singing the same version, or if she's gonna go to a different structure or whatever. So it's really complicated. With those kind of things, we shouldn't do. If you want to sing a song, bring your chart, and then we will follow. But sometimes people come to the jam session, they're with their friends there, and they're like, "Hey, she can sing." And what do you want to sing? Do you know Alanis Morissette? And I'm like, yeah, sure, I know her, but do you have the chart? No, I don't. I just having a drink with my friends. I know a few tunes, but I don't know every tune in the world unless you give me a chart. Then I can I can probably play.
But songs like that are kind of really sort of too specific,
But I get that all the time, Chris. Like, people come over, I want to sing this song by Nirvana or by this song and I'm like, yeah, but the problem is that if the structure is not the same, how can we know that the chart I have is exactly what you are thinking to sing, right? Because do you learn it from the Nirvana Unplugged MTV, or do you learn it from the Nirvana's album, or what? It's complicated.
Get some crazy requests. I got a one time I request for Thin Lizzy's "The Boys Are Back in Town." It's like it's got that kind of crazy guitar solo. That's my harmony guitar solo. It's like it's not going to happen. Sorry.
I have had a couple of interesting experiences in jam sessions, but I would like to know yours, Chris. What is the craziest thing that happened to you in a jam session?
Fights and things like that, where like the band members got in fights with like customers, and like a real fight, like a fist fight. And
was that in Japan?
Yeah, and then things got broken, and
the player jumped into the. Nice.
Yeah, the customer was like throwing stuff at the bass player, and it pissed him off, and he jumped in the audience, and it was like,
was the bass player the host guy, or?
Yeah, with the guy in my band. So, and that like sort of, I didn't really want to gig after that because it was such like a big disruption where things were broken and people were punching each other, and so. But I mean,
Wow. I need to go to your jam session.
Yeah, but people drink too much and they get out of hand.
Yeah,
so. That's what I was saying at the beginning of the podcast, right? Like sometimes alcohol and stress they're really not. They don't go by hand. You should be careful. And I had an experience with you a while back. Remember? Where there was a singer that was going to jump on a stage and. Everything is good now. We talked. He apologized. And I'm always talking shit to Chris, right? So he's like, "Are you gonna play?" And so we were supposed to play something together. And I say to Chris out loud, "It's all downhill from here."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Meaning that when we play, it's gonna suck.
Yeah.
Right. But somebody was supposed to be going on the stage and thought we were talking about him. Mm-hmm. Remember that? And he started, fuck you, and fuck you.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I remember, yeah.
Yeah. And then I was like, I'm not talking about you, man. I'm talking about this guy here. And then what was it? It was just basically a couple of more drinks than he should have had.
Yeah, and some misunderstanding. Well, that's enough to, get a broken nose in some situation.
No, I know the guy. I know he's a nice guy. And I know he wouldn't have done that if he wasn't a bit, if he wasn't drinking a little bit more than he should. I also understand that it was one of these situations where he was really looking forward to go on a stage, and he was not really. He was really caring about it, and I was careless, making jokes about, to Chris and stuff, and he thought it was about him.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, if you know me, I'm always talking crap. Right. So, but he thought it was about him. So it's okay. I don't think I will punch anyone because of that, ever.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah. I wasn't involved in that fight.
No, it was all me.
No, I'm talking about in my fight with my band. I would just was a witness, and I didn't cause anything. I was like minding my own business.
Yeah,
so you don't defend your band members.
No, I wasn't gonna jump in because it was like out of hand.
Well, who did it? Who was?
I don't really know. Somebody was throwing stuff at the bass player. I mean, they might have been like acquaintances or friends or something.
Yeah.
It just turned into a big brawl.
So he was like joking or kidding or something?
Yeah, I think he was just messing around.
Yeah. That's like the opposite thing that's supposed to happen at a jam set music. With music, you're supposed to.
No, I mean, there's been violence involved in many of my gigs.
No, I have a couple of times taken somebody off the stage by grabbing them by the arm and taking them out of the stage because they were out of control. Or sometimes I have had the situation where somebody would go on a stage and start insulting everyone because they didn't know the song perfectly or something like that, and I will go to talk to him. I may have to leave because, this is not the vibe.
Yeah.
A jam session is a place to go have a drink.
Yeah.
Play a little bit. Find out what you need to work on, which is what what we go there for.
Right, right.
And once you know what you have to work on, you go back home with a smile, and now you have something new to
Yeah,
work on.
yeah.
Something you didn't know you needed to improve, and that's it.
It's always the thing you've not been practicing.
Yes.
It's always the thing you've been slacking off on.
Yes.
Yeah, it reveals a lot about who you are and who other people are, I guess. But yeah, someone who just ruins the vibe, I guess that's someone you want to avoid.
But there's a lot of interesting jam sessions. Like one of my students was telling me that there's like a high school kids jam session, at a bar, if you can imagine that. So
Well,
I don't think they're drinking, but I mean they all like, it's like high school kids that go for like a jam session.
but
It's kind of cool.
Is that allowed?
Yeah, I mean if they're not drinking, it's allowed, I think, in Japan.
Yeah.
I don't
mean,
think it is.
Well, like no, because you could come to my jam. Sometimes underage people come to my jam session.
Yeah, the place where I do it, they don't allow me to do that, and I teach a lot of kids. So if I do any event that involves the kids playing, I would never do it at a bar.
Well, I think it might depend on maybe what kind of, I don't really know, and what kind of license there is for, like, if it's like licenses like a restaurant or a bar, maybe the rules kind of change. But I think in Japan that it's more like a matter of like what the management feels about having kids come in.
I think if they are all kids in there, that's okay.
Yeah, because you have a bunch of drunk adults causing fights. It's kind of true.
Yeah, because the thing is that high school kids, right? What age is that? We're talking about like
16, 17.
15 to
14
17?
to 17, right? So I believe that when you have kids of that age playing outside the school, basically all the performances that these kids should do should be at a school or in a 100% clean environment, which means no alcohol, no foreign people. Foreign from the school, I mean.
Oh yeah, no.
Okay,
Well, he's not meaning like people from foreign countries.
I
He means like outside people
the school.
outside that circle of.
That's what I meant.
Illegals.
That's what I meant. Like you don't want to have a jam session in a bar with a 14-year-old kid where everybody's drinking, because the kid might be playing. We are talking about the stress that adults go through these things. Can you imagine a kid? And he's always stressed out playing, and then somebody's laughing in the back, and he thinks it's about him, and he never touches the guitar again because he thought he sucked, and everybody was laughing at him.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never seen this myself, but maybe you're right though. Maybe they just book it amongst themselves, and they don't really let aliens in.
No,
Foreigners.
If you have all they are from the same high school, or all of them are high school kids, I can understand it, but I wouldn't let people from, like adults and people from outside their circle, right?
Sure. My students come out. They're college students, so they're of age, but they come out, and it's really, I think, a good experience, because when you're in school and you play amongst your classmates, it's like everything's cool. Nobody's nervous, and it's like, you know what I mean? You don't feel like you're put on the spot. But they go to the jam sessions, all of a sudden, they play with, like, people they don't know, and generally they walk away. I won't say that it's a bad experience, but they walk away with like they feel like they didn't really do good at it, and I think that's an okay thing to do.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, but then you hear, what are the, like Derek Trucks playing with Allman Brothers since he was like 5 or 13, something. Those kind of stories you hear all the time. What did he do?
Well, but that's sort of like the same thing that the gospel kids do in the church, right? Where they go to the church and they see their relatives or the older people, like the teenagers and stuff, and playing gospel music, and they want to do it too. And the singers will go up on stage and sing some gospel tunes, and then the musicians will teach the younger kids how to play the songs.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with like blues music and things like that.
Yeah.
But that's great. I mean, if my son or my daughter was interested in music, I would bring her to the jam sessions.
Same. Yeah.
And tell them, go up and play.
Yeah.
Go up and play. And especially if the guys, I think I heard that what was the name of the bass player? Matthew Garrison was the son of Jimmy Garrison, right? Oh,
James Garrison.
yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah,
And I think the father used to take him to the jam sessions and go up and play.
could be.
Because
You know,
that's also the drinks, the rowdiness, the sticky floors. That's kind of part of playing music. I mean, it's music. Some people think it's like, you know, peaceful and lovey-dovey and flowers, but it's like it's pretty, you know,
it'd be rough.
it's
Yeah.
rough. Yeah, and
Well, they're bars, you know. My daughter came to and sat in with my band, and she wouldn't learn the song, so it was like
Yeah.
that was she.
No, but I hear all the time people that say, no, I don't want to go to jam sessions because I don't feel comfortable playing with people I don't know. I don't feel comfortable playing songs I don't know well. I don't feel comfortable playing songs like or improvising on top of, you know. I totally get it. I normally recommend them to just do it. But
yeah. I mean, that's the reason why I don't go for periods. It's like I don't know who's gonna be there. I don't know if the gear. I don't know if it'll sound. It probably won't sound good, and no
yeah,
time to set up.
I stopped going to certain jam sessions that because I don't I started playing jazz and I had a 335 and all these things, but now I only own Strats. So if you play a Strat in a Roland Cube, it doesn't sound right the way I normally sound, and it really drives me crazy, right? It's not the amp's fault. It's my fault for not having a guitar that I can bring to these things, right? So I'm always thinking, I'm gonna buy a PRS,
Yeah.
or I'm gonna buy a Gibson Les Paul,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna have this guitar for the jam sessions that are like that, where
Yeah.
you have to plug into whatever and play.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, with a Strat, you need certain type of amps to get the sound that
Make it sound
yeah.
the best. Yeah.
Well, you know how much I care about those things. So
Yeah, you're the Gordon Ramsay of tone. So,
kind of
mm.
because I get angry all the time.
We'll have a session about gear.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. One of these
I
days.
just copy whatever Chris does.
I'm becoming more and more minimalist as life goes on.
Hey man, as long as you know if the delay on the river goes first.
I always get
which one-
confused.
Yeah.
But you know how I solved that problem?
You send me a message
No. But that's one way. But the way I solve it,
alphabetically.
no, the way I solve it is just not to use a reverb anymore.
Just take it out.
Yeah. I don't have anything to worry about.
It's
anymore.
just an alphabetical order.
Yeah. How do you hide your mistakes then without the reverb?
He doesn't make mistakes.
Right. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
Chris
Yeah.
Jurgensen.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
there you go.
That'll be the day.
There you go. There you go. Well, everyone, if you want to go to jam sessions, be nice to the host. Know some direction where the song is, how long it is, where you are. Any other kind of
Yeah, if
advice?
I have any last thing to say, I'll have to be perfectly honest with you. A lot of people that come to these jam sessions, I become friends with, and I'll just say it, and I end up giving them work, so, or they end up getting gigs too. So, it's you have to sort of do it and then suffer through it for a little while, and then when you get good at it, there's always a good chance that you'll meet people that you can work with. So.
Same here. Like the hosts at my jam session, they can always work.
I met Daniel Bader at your jam session, and I had did a lot of recording work with him. So there you go.
I'm waiting for you to give me some work too.
Sure.
But I actually the people that come to my jam sessions, like the hosts, normally get work. I try to introduce them to everyone I know, as you know, because you have them there. And the players as well. Sometimes there have been players there that we ended up playing together, and I get a little bit of work from their lessons or the gigs and stuff like that, and I appreciate it because that's one of the reasons why I do it as well. But yeah, if you go to a jam session, just go with an open mind, try to enjoy. Don't give too much hard work to the hosts; they are already busy.
There's this. I just remember there's this guy that comes to my jam session that is like one of the best blues harp players that I've heard in Japan, and he also has his own tofu shop, and he brings me tofu.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, well, I mean, so some people are very nice, and I can't say that I have made a lot of friends since I started the jam session. Like we're talking about like almost 10 years ago, like 9 years, and I think it started in March, like 10 years ago. So yeah,
There we go.
well, I don't know if we left anything.
I think we're okay.
Okay.
Good.
All right.
All right. Catch you on the next one.
See you guys.
See you.
Goodbye.